Welcome to Surveying and Geospatial Insights. Today we're exploring boundary evidence hierarchy, the practical framework surveyors use to weigh deeds, monuments, occupation, and records when a boundary question isn't clear. Understanding what evidence carries the most weight is essential for making defensible decisions in the field, documenting them in the office, and explaining them clearly to clients and other professionals. Boundary resolution often starts by recognizing that not all evidence carries the same weight. Applying an evidence hierarchy helps surveyors prioritize the most reliable sources and explain how a boundary position was determined in a defensible way. Original monuments placed during the first survey typically control over later measurements because they represent the intent on the ground. Recovering, verifying, and documenting those monuments is critical before relying on computed positions. Natural monuments like rivers, ridge lines, and tree lines can be persuasive when they were clearly intended as boundary calls. The practical challenge is that natural features can migrate, so surveyors need to evaluate historical location and stability over time. Adjoiner evidence, found corners and lines accepted by neighboring owners, often reveals how the boundary has been treated on the ground. Ties to occupation, features like fences or hedges, can support a boundary opinion when they are consistent, long-standing, and corroborated by records. Record evidence such as deeds, plats, and survey maps provides the written framework for the boundary, but it must be read in context. Reconciling calls, senior rights, and overlaps requires careful interpretation rather than simple coordinate matching. Measurements, bearings, distances, and coordinates are essential, but they typically serve to locate evidence rather than override it. When measurements disagree with controlling evidence, the surveyor's role is to explain the discrepancy and trace its likely source. Modern coordinate systems and GIS layers add value for analysis and mapping, but they do not create title boundaries by themselves. Surveyors should treat coordinates as a tool for consistency and retracement, while grounding conclusions in controlling evidence and record intent. Conflicts between sources are common, such as gaps, overlaps, or mismatched bearings between adjoining deeds. A structured conflict analysis documents what was weighed, what was rejected, and why the final boundary opinion follows recognized principles. The age of the evidence matters because earlier documents and monuments often reflect senior rights and original intent. Establishing a timeline of conveyances and surveys helps explain why some calls control and others must yield. Clear documentation is part of the hierarchy because the boundary opinion must be reproducible and understandable. Photos, recovery notes, ties, citations, and a well-reasoned narrative help reviewers see how each piece of evidence was evaluated and weighted. That's a practical look at boundary evidence hierarchy and why it matters anytime the record and the real world don't perfectly agree. The better we recognize, verify, and document the controlling evidence, the more reliable and explainable our boundary opinions become. How do you evaluate competing evidence on your projects? Thanks for watching Surveying and Geospatial Insights.